A series of major political, security, and institutional developments unfolded in Pakistan on Thursday, spanning defense cooperation, regional tensions, parliamentary action, and legal proceedings. Chief of Defense Forces and Chief of Army Staff Field Marshal Syed Asim Munir met the commander of the Turkish Land Forces, General Metin Tokal, in Islamabad, where both sides discussed avenues for enhanced bilateral defense cooperation. According to the Inter-Services Public Relations, the meeting at General Headquarters focused on matters of mutual professional interest, regional security dynamics, and strengthening military collaboration between Pakistan and Turkey. Field Marshal Munir highlighted the historic and strategic ties between the two countries and appreciated their defense partnership. During his visit, the Turkish commander was also presented with a Guard of Honor at GHQ. He later met Chief of Naval Staff and Chief of Air Staff in Islamabad, where discussions included professional cooperation and regional maritime security. The visiting dignitary also praised the professionalism of Pakistan's armed forces and expressed commitment to further expanding defense ties. Separately, Pakistan's Foreign Office issued a strong warning over recent remarks by Indian Water Minister, saying any attempt to block or reduce water flows vital to Pakistan would have far-reaching consequences. Foreign Office spokesperson Tahir Anrabi said such an act could amount to a war under Article 51 of the UN Charter and would be treated with utmost seriousness. He said Pakistan's rights over its water resources were non-negotiable and any disruption would threaten regional peace and security. The spokesperson also said Pakistan would defend its water interests through diplomatic, political, legal and economic measures and urged India to act responsibly and avoid statements that could escalate tensions.
Yes, we have seen this statement attributed to the Indian Water Resource Minister regarding the future flow of water to Pakistan. And as I've said previously, any attempt to block or substantially curtail water that is vital to livelihood, agriculture and well-being of more than 250 million Pakistani would be a deeply irresponsible act and contrary to established international obligations concerning transboundary rivers and indeed India's own bilateral agreement with Pakistan. Pakistan firmly rejects any notion that water can be treated as a political tool or instrument of coercion or a weapon. Such actions would threaten not just regional peace and security of South Asia and beyond, and the responsibility of such threat to international peace and security would fall squarely on India's shoulder. Pakistan's rights and interests in respect of its water resources are non-negotiable. We will vigorously defend those rights through all available diplomatic, legal, political, economic and other measures consistent with international law and the UN Charter. Any deliberate attempt to block water essential to Pakistan's survival and development would constitute an extremely grave act with far-reaching consequences. As stated by at the top leadership level by Pakistan, any such act would be treated with utmost seriousness and could possibly amount an act of war under Article 51 of the UN Charter. Every state retains the inherent right to self-defense. Pakistan will take all necessary measures to safeguard its economy and its vital national interests and lives of its 250 million people. We call upon India to act responsibly, honor its international commitment, and refrain from statements and actions that would further escalate tensions in the region. Pakistan remains committed to safeguarding its interests, as I said, and we will closely monitor developments on the ground in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and elsewhere from where these water resources emerge.
On security developments, the Foreign Office also responded to a recent report on India's nuclear expansion, saying Pakistan was not surprised by the findings and that it reflected concerns Islamabad had repeatedly raised about India's strategic build-up.
Its findings, nevertheless, are not surprising. Pakistan is not surprised by these developments. These findings of SIPRI broadly corroborate concerns that Pakistan has consistently been raising regarding India's continued vertical proliferation. We also believe that open source estimates such as SIPRI may not fully reflect the actual scale of India's nuclear arsenal, which may actually be higher than the existing estimates.
Meanwhile, the Foreign Office said efforts were ongoing to secure the release of Pakistani seafarers held by pirates off the coast of Somalia. It said 11 Pakistani crew members remain in captivity after hijacking of a vessel in April, and that diplomatic efforts, including engagement with Somali authorities and international stakeholders, are continuing. Officials described the situation as a difficult and operationally challenging, but said efforts for their safe returns remain a high priority. In a separate briefing, the Foreign Office said the Pakistan's role in regional mediation efforts, including in relation to US Iran tensions remains active and said diplomatic engagement continues with regional partners despite shrinking space due to escalating hostilities.
So Pakistan remains on the path of peace and diplomacy, and indeed we find the same spirit in our key partners. I mentioned about the telephone call of the foreign minister with our deputy prime minister, foreign minister with his Turkish counterpart late last night. So these efforts continue. Our interior minister was in Tehran. He carried an important message of the prime minister and a letter as well. The deputy prime minister also remains engaged with his counterparts, as I said. So certainly let's not draw curtains on Pakistan's mediation role, and let's not lose hope. Let's work with the spirit of positivity, and indeed this is what is guiding Pakistan's approach.
In the National Assembly, Defence Minister Khwaja Asif addressed multiple issues, including in Azad Jammu and Kashmir, urging the Joint Awami Action Committee to allow voters to decide the future of refugee seats in upcoming elections. He said the matter should be taken to the public rather than decided unilaterally. Separately, Asif also called for the respect for parliamentary norms, warning that repeated disruptions in the National Assembly were weakening democratic institutions and undermining legislative work.
जो मुहाजिरीन हैं, उन्होंने कीमत अदा की हुई है, पाकिस्तान की सरजमीन पे आने की कीमत अदा की हुई है। मेरे हलके में जम्मू के मुहाजिरीन हैं, 2.25 लाख जो है शहीद हुए while crossing the border into Pakistan, या उसको आप कंट्रोल लाइन कह लें, जो भी कह उसको कह लें। और 1 महीने के अंदर तवी और चिनाब सुर्ख हो गए खून के साथ जो है। आप कहते हैं कि उन लोगों को हकेज, और आप कहते हैं उन लोगों से उनके वोट का हक छीन लिया जाए। जो आजाद कश्मीर में लोग बैठे हैं, विद ऑल ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट, मुझे बड़ा इकराम है उनका, वो अपने घरों में बैठे रहे। जो जिस फौज ने इस इलाके को लिबरेट कराया, या जो आज आजाद कश्मीर है, जिसको हम बड़े फख्र के साथ आजाद कश्मीर कहते हैं, अल्लाह ताला सारे कश्मीर को आजाद करे, उसके लिए सारे पाकिस्तान ने कुर्बानी दी है, हमारी फौज ने कुर्बानी दी है, जिसमें कश्मीरी नहीं थे सिर्फ।
Another major development came from the National Assembly itself, where PTI lawmaker Muhammad Iqbal Khan Afridi was suspended for an entire upcoming budget session over alleged misconduct. The Speaker of the National Assembly said Afridi had repeatedly violated parliamentary rules, including inappropriate behavior with staff and security personnel. The suspension bars him from entering Parliament House during the session and also cancels his allowances for the period. The House also witnessed opposition protests and walkouts over procedural issues and demands related to meetings with PTI leadership, while the Speaker maintained the parliamentary rules would be upheld.
मैं ये इंटीरियर की कमेटी को रेफर कर रहा हूँ, ये इशू जो है, जो मिस यूज ऑफ पाकिस्तानी पासपोर्ट है, ये रेफर कर रहा हूँ। दूसरी चीज, इन्होंने हाथ उठाया उन लोगों के ऊपर जो जवाब नहीं दे सकते। हमारे गेट नंबर 1 पे बाहर जो लोग खड़े होते हैं ना, मेन एंट्री पे, मैंने उनसे माजरत की। इन्होंने हमारे स्टाफ को जो यहाँ है उनके ऊपर हाथ उठाया, मैंने माजरत की। सरीना चौक में इन्होंने एक सिपाही के ऊपर हाथ उठाया, मैंने माजरत की। अब कोई माजरत नहीं होगी। क्या एक ही मेंबर है जो सारे मेंबर्स की बदनामी करना चाहता है? दिस इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल। आप मोशन मूव करेंगे, मैं सस्पेंशन का करूंगा।
In Islamabad, the Federal Constitutional Court also heard arguments on a Supreme Court judgment related to the demolition of restaurants in Margara Hills National Park. The court questioned aspects of the earlier ruling and adjourned proceedings until the second week of July. The original judgment had ordered closure and demolition of restaurants including Monal and others, citing environmental concerns and impact on biodiversity.